Hey Libra, welcome to Pisces season. All information to work with me one-on-one is below, as well as the extended part to this video, which will be on Patreon. This is Pisces season. It is March 2023, and cards already fell out. It's the last season in the zodiac wheel, which means there's some things to wrap up for everybody. For you, it looks like some lessons in your perhaps behavior or your energy. You've learned that when it's okay if you have an idea and you want to get it started. It's okay if you finally figure something out and you want to put it into use. I hear you. But sometimes you want things to happen quicker than they will. It's once you figure it out, you want it to change. Well, this month it is going to be like that. So this month, and whatever you find out in the beginning of the month, whatever really opens up for you and closes other things, is giving you a full circle moment and lots of insight. This could be someone who you invited in for advice, or really taking the time to observe where you're at and how you feel about what's been said to you, what's been told, what has happened as well. There's like a mixture of different things here, and you realize that what's important now is to, when you move forward, should be a little tight. When you move forward, when you choose to maybe act or approach the situation a little differently, then you can see how you're about to act. So you're going to notice these little increments now between situations or between whatever's happening in the midst of it all. You're being asked to like stop, to slow down, to not go so fast, to maybe not change anything too abruptly, to maybe not make any crazy rash decisions. Because here's the thing about this season. Why am I saying that? Well, like, I want to do this, I want to control that, or I want to make this, or I want to do that. This is not the month for it, because there's a lot to sit and process with. There's a lot here. You can realize that even just a couple months ago, you were maybe being offered or given an opportunity, and now it almost has fallen through. Or whatever you've set out to do a few months ago, there's a change now. There's a shift even in that. So as you choose where you're going next, as you take the information you've gathered and, sit with it all and gain the insight that you need, you can see how that affects whatever it is that maybe you want control over, but whatever you're wanting or desiring now, whatever desires are really keep constraining you, right? There's something about surrender, letting go, seeing things for what they are. Yeah, it may be a struggle. Yeah, it may not be the most pleasant experience, but I think you're finally at this point where you're like, okay, I've learned this, I've come to this point, and it's now more vulnerable for you to kind of sit back rather than take like unnecessary action, or action that appears great to you because it gives you a sense of control, but that's all it is a sense of control. So when you really take a look and you observe everything, internally, externally, however you're going to experience it, but you will most likely experience both, is also going to remind you why things don't work that way. You have to let it go. This high priestess is like staring at me, and you'll see it in the next part, which will be in a link below. that this particular time, there's so much changing, apparently anyway, so much changing and so much shifting and so much, you should do this or you could do this, and you know all of that, but there's something also about like gathering the information, being more receptive, because regardless, Pisces season is going to do, sorry about my hair. Regardless, Pisces season is going to wash away whatever's unnecessary, whatever it is, it's just going to wash it away anyway. So it doesn't really matter how much effort you put in this month in terms of physicality and exertion. It's more about the mental, emotional side of things, where you put that into action, where you maybe don't say the thing that you would have said, or you say the thing that you may have held back before. So wherever that fits for you, because not every Libra is the same. I don't go with that. So if, depending on which way you lean, I would do the opposite, to face that maybe fear. Because there seems like you may be acting from a fear of, well, if I don't hold on to this desire, if I don't hold this in my brain, I'm going to forget about it, or life's going to forget about it for me. Or it's like when you like someone, or you just meet someone for the first time and you guys hit it off, whatever it is, and you just hold them in your mind because you just don't want them to forget about you, or you don't want to forget about them. And I'm not saying that's all it is all the time, but that's sometimes what it can boil down to. And that's not going to happen if things are meant to go the way that they're meant to go. So I wouldn't get too carried away with that. I would just remember that you are helping create the situation now. Whatever skills you put into it, even yourself, and you offer it from a place of giving, right? Because this Mercury in Pisces is going to give to you exactly what you need. It's going to help replenish your brain. That's why certain things are clearing out, certain things you've maybe clinging to or holding on to, whether it's the ego or not. There's just a washing that's happening. Clear this out so something else can come in, even different ideas. So you find yourself maybe towards the end of the month coming up with different ideas where it's not going to be a struggle, or something you can be paid for. Something where you're getting an exchange in return, instead of maybe overgiving and finding resentment, or just being given the crumbs of someone else's energy when you're giving more. So it's not that and even if you don't have resentment, it's not that you don't love to give. That's not at all it. It's just that you need to find this where this makes sense for you, right? It's no longer about being constrained or held down to your desires and to what it is that you are wanting out of life, but you're noticing how your mental, emotional life will help shift even your physical life. How really looking into that side of yourself shows you what you've even offered thus far, what work you've done, or how you give in your life. Now it's all changing. And yes, yet again, people are going to have to deal with that from you, but that's okay. If you're evolving in the way that you need to grow in your life, people will understand. If they don't, that's fine. There's an adjustment period. You don't need to over-explain yourself. You don't need to go down that hole. You just need to understand that you're being given opportunities to take really important and deep matters with yourself and how they reflect the value in your life and how you're valued in your life. So if you're starting to value yourself even more and you get pushback from it, you need to check on and maybe just realize that that's where they are. That's cool. This is where you are. That's cool. But it's not from a place of anything other than you need to do what you need to do for yourself, because there's so much coming to you by the end of the month that you'll need the energy to get it out. Don't not socialize, because that will probably help you, take your mind off some things that need some settling, but also put into practice this new side of you. You know, people might even ask you this month, like, oh, you seem like you've changed. It's just like, no, you're being yourself more. You're like, no, I'm just not being this person that's held down by these things that just don't even and aren't even making their way to me or are, and it's weird. And you're like, no, I really need to figure out why this is happening. Like, I am lucky. I do have so much, but there's something there's something going on here that's stopping me from really understanding like the point of now, right? So whatever the point of now is important. And that's it. And whatever's not working, there's a shift there. Do you keep going? If that's the insight, yes. It's not that you stop doing anything, but it's this one specific place. It could be that you just need to look at it a little differently and let go of a different form, this belief or this way of thinking that X plus Y equals Z. All right? We'll get more into all of this in the second part, or in the extended, whatever you want to call it, because this High Priestess is a big part of this. You can see how everything happens. You can feel it. But it's now time to sit with the point where I know it could be hard. You want to just like explode, go off for it. But the true magnetism, the true healing in this moment is to sit with it all, let everything else disperse, and understand that you have the energy to take control in that way. That you don't need to act out of desperation. You don't need to act. That's not you. You will get eventually what you need and want. There's no need to act out of who you really are now. And no one will really understand what you're going through internally unless you share it. So maybe with the few people in your life, because there's a shift in direction and things are moving slower and you don't get it. But trust me, by the end of the month, it'll become a lot more easy for you to understand and to put together. But it's just the important thing is to keep going, to trust that you're shifting internally and knowing that externally things will also shift. But that's not the point. It is, but it's not. And if you want to focus there, it may be important to you in putting your energy there and knowing that, well, if I put a little bit of energy there, I know that I'm guaranteed some of this. Yes, you are. I just think that it's important not to overcommit to anyone else other than yourself this month. All right? But do your thing. And we'll take a look at the next part. Everything's in a link below. See you next month.